Donald Trump may have swept New Hampshire, but the nation's second presidential contest failed to clarify the battle for who gets to be the so-called establishment candidate in this race for the White House. Joining us now is the chairman of the Republican National, Reince Priebus. Reince, thanks very much for joining us. Let's talk about what happened in New Hampshire, where we're going from here, what it means for the party. As you know, John Kasich, Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, Marco Rubio. If you take a look at the results, and we have them up on the screen right there, they combined for about 45% of the vote in New Hampshire last night. Do you believe it would benefit the voters if they had clearer choices right now with fewer candidates? In other words, do you welcome the possibility that more of these Republican presidential candidates might suspend their campaigns?
Well, it's not a matter of whether, if I welcome it or wish for it. It happens naturally. So there's just not enough hard money to go around. But I think it's going to be up to the voters and the delegates in South Carolina and Nevada and March 1st, Super Tuesday. I think this thing's going to get sorted out. Just keep in mind, 5% of all the delegates get awarded in February, 60% get awarded in March. So it's early. This is going to play itself out, and I think we're going to get to a good place in our party where we rally around a particular person. And look what we get to run against. I mean, we get a Hillary Clinton who can't win women, can't win young people. People don't trust her, or a socialist from Vermont. So yeah, we've got a lot of intrigue and drama going on, but we also have a lot of interest, and we've got an opponent that's coming up that is very, very weak.
Well, how worried, though, are you, Reince, that some of these Republican presidential candidates, they are really clashing, they're attacking each other, they're going after each other big time? As the leader of the Republican Party, does that bother you?
Well, sure. I mean, yeah, it bothers me, but you know, you're going to have some punches and some shoves and some pushes. It's pretty normal. And I also think it's a limited amount of time. I mean, we're sitting here in February, and it seems like things that happened in January were 2 years ago. So when we get to March and April and May and June and July, it's going to feel like forever, Wolf. And we're going to be interviewing with each other in June, and we're going to say, remember back when? Like, oh, yeah. It's going to get old. It's going to get clarified, and it's going to feel like it was a long time ago when we're sitting in the middle of summer with a nominee.
I'm sure you took a close look at the Republican primary exit polls from New Hampshire last night. And here are a few numbers that may be of concern to you. 47% of the Republican voters, they said they felt betrayed by Republican politicians. 50% of them said the next president should be from outside the so-called establishment. Are you worried about those kinds of numbers? These are Republican primary voters.
No, not really, because I think there's a lot of people in both parties that are mad at the parties, mad at the system, mad at Washington, that you know, it's a factional type government. I mean, it's sort of you know, very difficult, obviously, when you have a split government to get things done, and people really don't have time for things not getting done. And so I think it's pretty normal, and I think it's pretty common, and I expect that sort of vein is going to play itself out through the next few months, and you know, we'll have a unified party when it's done, and those folks are, as long as, you know, they're staying involved, which I think is important for us to keep those folks involved in the party, that they will participate come November of 2016.
I'll ask you what I asked Debbie Wasserman Schultz about Michael Bloomberg, the former New York City mayor, thinking seriously of running as a third-party independent candidate. He said publicly, he said the level of discourse and discussion is distressingly banal and an outrage and an insult to voters. Would you welcome a third-party run by Bloomberg?
Yeah, I don't really view it as a third party. I just view it as another Democrat. So Democrats running and splitting their vote. I mean, look, he's been fighting and pounding away at Republicans for how long now? He wants to take all the guns away. He wants to tax Slurpees and sodas. I mean, the guy's a liberal Democrat. So great. If they want to have two Democrats run and split their vote and let us compete in places like Connecticut and New Hampshire and Maine, places we used to win 20 years ago, we'll take it. So honestly, it's no skin off our back.
Yeah, Donald Trump said the same thing. Basically, he said if he wants to run, that's fine with him.
But it's true. That's why. I mean, it's just. Yeah.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I was just going to say because it's just true. I mean, he hasn't been friendly to the Republican Party in years and years, and so, you know, at the end of the day, he takes their votes away. He can't get to 270 electoral votes. It's not even possible. Even if he did win a few electoral votes, then he would put the race in the hands of Paul Ryan, and I would imagine Paul's going to choose the Republican.
It goes to the House of Representatives if nobody gets 270 electoral votes, according to the U.S. Constitution. All right, Reince, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Wolf.
Reince